Hello and welcome. My name is Ntobe Gondlovu, and if you're watching this short video, it means you are interested in the trading of foreign currencies, or otherwise known as forex trading. And of course, this type of trading happens in the forex market. So in this video, I will give a short introduction about what forex trading is all about, how it works, and how you can get involved in this market in order to make a profit. So let's get started. So the video that you're looking at, basically this first slide shows the map of the world, and the reason why I'm showing this map is because it makes it very easy and simple, in fact, to describe how this market actually works. So basically you have a whole host of different countries that exist around the globe. You've got the USA, South Africa, Australia, China, Japan, Europe, with the countries of the Eurozone, and all these countries basically have something in common. They all have a local currency. For example, the United States uses the dollar as a local currency, South Africa uses the rand, Australia uses the Australian dollar, Japan uses the Japanese yen, and all these currencies basically have one very simple job, and that is basically to serve as a medium of exchange. It also, of course, the unit of the local currency also serves as a unit of measure, but for our sake we'll just view it as a medium of exchange. So basically, if you are in your local country, for example South Africa, and you want to do an exchange of goods and services, then it helps to have this money in your possession because it makes those transactions quite simple. The same goes if you are in the United States. If you basically are transacting within the borders of the United States, you need the dollar in order to facilitate those transactions. The problem comes in if you are in, say, South Africa, and you want to have access to goods and services from, say, America. In that case, you could have access to their goods and services, but you would need the rand in order to make the transaction. The opposite is also true. If you are American and you want to transact with South Africa because there's goods and services that you may require from them, then you would need the rand in order to do that transaction. Now, as it turns out, this means that there is a price of a currency of any country on earth in terms of another currency of any other country on earth. And this is interesting because in having a price, the currency of every country, that price actually behaves like a price of any other good or service or commodity, in terms of the fact that the price changes with time. It does not remain the same. So if you had to buy, for example, let's say $1 costs you 7 rand today, if you came in a few months time, you would find that probably the dollar would then cost you 8 rand or sometimes 6 rand. And it's this change in the value of the currency that you are trying to purchase that allows you to actually make a profit from it. Now, there's a whole host of reasons why the prices change, and most of them are due to the economic factors of each country. So things like the unemployment rates affects the price of the local currency. Things like the economic growth, the GDP of the country affects the value. Things like the interest rates within that country affects it. Things like inflation would affect it. So there's a whole host of reasons why it would be affected. But the point of the matter is that the price does change with time, and that enables one to make a profit from the change in the price. So to give a more familiar example of how this would occur, imagine that you have 10,000 rand in your possession, and you have analyzed the housing market and have identified a house that is available in your view at a very cheap price, and you are of the belief that in the next 3 months there will be an increase in the price of that house. You could go ahead and approach a bank and request them for a loan that will allow you to actually purchase that house, And once you are given that loan, then what you could basically do is wait for 3 months, and after 3 months the value of the house would then be, say, 150,000 rand. At 150,000 rand, you could then decide that, okay, I think that it's appreciated by a margin that is big enough for me to sell it back. And so when you sell it back, you would now end up with 150,000. You could then take the 90,000 that you borrowed from the bank, assuming there's no interest rates, to keep the example simple, and then you could keep the remaining 60,000 rand. Now, since you started off with 10,000, that would mean that you have actually made a profit of 50,000 rand. That's exactly how it works. Now, as you can imagine, if this price did not change, and after 3 months the price was still 100,000 rand, that means you would just end up with 10,000 rand, assuming of course no interest rates, which means you wouldn't make a profit. So what would allow you to make a profit in this example is the change in the price of the house. Now, as it turns out, it works in a very similar way in the forex market, because in the forex market, instead of a bank, you have a broker. So you would approach a broker, and the way that you would do that is the brokers have a facility for individuals to open a brokerage account. A brokerage account is very similar to a bank account, but it has more. It has other facilities. This account actually allows you to trade in the forex market, and the way that you would do this is, once you have opened your trading account with a broker, in this case markets.com, you would do this through your laptop with internet access, and then what they would do is they would give you a facility to be able to buy currencies that you believe are going to appreciate, because if they appreciate, that represents a change in price, and if a currency changes in price, it means you can profit from it. So the way that you connect to markets.com through your computer is that they give you free software called MetaTrader 4. Now, MetaTrader 4 is a very sophisticated piece of software which they provide you for free, and that is basically your window through which you are able to access your account balance. And once you open a trade, which basically is another word for buying a currency that you believe is going to appreciate, you would do it through that MetaTrader software. Once the currency has appreciated, you could then buy back the currency in which your account is denominated. Usually this account will be denominated in dollars, and then you would end up with a profit. And that's how it works. So obviously, if you do this enough times, then your account can grow significantly over time, and this is what forex trading is all about. So why do people lose money in forex trading? Well, to explain this, we'll go back to this example. If, for instance, you had done your analysis incorrectly and then drew the conclusion that this house is going to appreciate in value, and in fact you were wrong, and this house actually drops in value, say after 3 months the value of this house has gone down to 90,000 rand. That would mean if you sold this house after 3 months, you would only have enough money to pay the bank back, and you would end up basically short, which would mean you've lost the 10,000 rand. So it's a similar situation in this case. If you buy a currency because you have made an analysis that has led you to the conclusion that it's going to appreciate in value, and it drops in value, then obviously your account will drop proportionately. This also means that then it's very important that the analysis into the price of currencies is done correctly, so that you will always be making the correct forecasts, or at least you increase your probability of making the correct forecast, so that you can then profit from this. And this is what Tekra Capital Market does. It shows you different strategies that you can use to analyze the prices of different currencies in the forex market, so that you can determine which of the currencies is going to be appreciating in value. And once you have this information, then you can utilize it to buy and sell currencies in this market in order to make a profit. And I hope that that small briefing has enlightened you to how the foreign exchange market works. Thank Thank you very much.